of the Vicky Show. I respect that for some of you it's a holiday season. And so I wanted to connect with you briefly and connect with you early. For those of you that don't know, my name is Vicky Dillard, and I do a daily show Monday through Friday, of course, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com. So if for some reason you miss me in the evening times, I want you to set your alarms to be sure to go back and check out my show when you get a chance later, okay? Welcome, welcome, welcome to a special early morning edition of the Vicky Show. You are tuned in to FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com, the network for melanated people just like you. Thank you so very much, those of you who are here. Before I get ready to get into what I consider to be a very disturbing and shocking story, I want you to do me a favor and help me do a little bit of housekeeping this morning by giving us the thumbs up, thumbs up. Be sure to like, be sure to share. Oh, I miss you too, beloved. And I love you all so much. Thank you so much for your kind words. And I want you to do me a little favor with some early morning housekeeping, of course. As you come in, please come in giving us the thumbs up, thumbs up. Be sure to like, be sure to share. I want you to text the word Queens to 31996 so that you're able to receive phone notifications when we go live from time to time. Also, family, I want you to know that I've worked on a very special collaboration, and I'm so excited about it. For those of you that don't know, I've done 3 2-hour intensive angel course webinars, and I still think that you can get one of the replays right now at Fly Nubian Mastermind. They were such a hit. It was absolutely so amazing. So many what's the word? Testimonies, signs and wonders, quite frankly, that have followed those courses, that this 2021 Angels Unleashed project came out of that. What is it? It is a 2021 Angels Unleashed calendar. And I personally wrote out and put all of my heart into putting a specific angelic thought along with a corresponding magical scripture about angels for you to meditate on for the entire month, for each month. So each month you'll have a specific angelic thought and a corresponding scripture. So I want you to get yours today. We made a limited amount, sold out, and then the team decided, hey, let's make a few more available. These are pre-orders, so they'll ship out in January. Get yours at thevickycalendar.com. Somebody put it in the chat, the Vicky Calendar. They may not let you put .com in the chat, but put the Vicky Calendar, the Vicky Calendar, the Vicky Calendar, okay? Thank you so much. Make sure, family, that you support. Get you one and all of your family, friends, and loved ones. I'm telling you, it's going to be well worth it. It's so good to see you all this day. I hope you're taking really good care of you, your family, your friends, and your loved ones, and Black society as a whole. Now, let me get right on into it this morning. Again, I mentioned to the audience that I was going to go early today, and out of respect for the other queens' time, I try to come on early because there are new queens that come on live on the network. Thank you so very much. Now, listen to this. Oh, I see one of our moderators here. Bless your heart. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's listen to this. I always like to start the day with something positive. But because this story is so disturbing, family, I want you to remember, I say this often, we, notwithstanding all of the hell, all of the drama, all of the bloodshed, to the Black man and woman of America, listen to me and listen to me good. We are in our finest hour. Did you hear what I just said? I am your sister, the lady with the curly braids, is here to tell you that notwithstanding the labor, the pain, and the difficulty of the condition of our people in this country, we are in our finest hour. I have to remind us that whenever a woman is getting ready to give birth, there is oftentimes bloodshed. Is that right? There's difficulty, there's pain, there's heavy breathing, there's inconvenience. And if you didn't know what birthing was all about, you would not know that something good was getting ready to take place. Is that right? Excuse me, family. I'm on a special medical regimen, so it's putting up all kinds of suppressed things that were injected into my body over the past few years with medical biologics. So I'm going through, undergoing a sort of a purging process with one of my several doctors. So thank you for your understanding of that. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, family, like and share. So I want you to know that I'm not trying to bombard you the first part of the day, and no matter when you might be watching this at any part of the day, with sad news. I want you to see this as yet another reason to push for Black liberation, and also another reason to hope and to know that Black folk are truly in our finest hour. Some of the scripture, the Quran talks about the shock of the hour. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm some Islamic scholar or any of that, but I think that that notion might be relevant in some senses with the nonstop assault and onslaught on Black life. Now, let me get to one of the initial stories, okay? Let me get to one of the initial stories of the war that we're truly in. Now, I'm pulling something up right now that I want you to understand. Before I get ready to get into one of our other stories, and I'm going to be brief, I want to discuss a Black female physician by the name of Dr. Susan Moore. She was an Indiana physician. She died, family, of COVID-19. Watch this. After this Black woman alleged that she experienced racism while undergoing treatment. This is our dear sister. Somebody say her name. Somebody say her name. Now, I want to weave together a couple of different thoughts this morning. And again, understanding that these incidents that continue to accumulate in quantum speed. How many of you all know we're not dealing with random stories of Black death and Black mistreatment? Let me tell you a story. We're dealing, watch this, with multiple stories. I'm reading from the Washington Post. A Black doctor alleged racist treatment before dying of COVID-19. This is a quote. As you can see from her, it appears, this is how Black people get killed. Listen, family. It says struggling to breathe. I saw the video. I don't know how many of you all may or may not know about this story, but I want to weave together a couple of different points. And I pray that you are well. Don't forget what I said as I'm reading these stories. We are in our finest hour, Black family. Struggling to breathe and pausing between sentences, Susan Moore mustered enough energy to record herself from her hospital bed where she was being treated for COVID-19, the illness caused by the coronavirus. The message she shared, not even her status as a doctor, shielded her from the inferior medical care long endured by African Americans. Her doctor didn't believe she was short of breath, she said, even though he knew he was treating a fellow licensed physicians. Staff at the hospital near Indianapolis attempted to discharge her early. Y'all listen to this. They attempted to discharge her early, Moore said, and her pleas for medication to quiet pain in her neck was met with sneers. I'm quoting her now. I was crushed. He made me feel like a drug addict, and he knew I was a physician. I don't take narcotics, Moore recalled in December 4th video viewed by millions. I put forward and I maintain if I was white, I wouldn't have to go through that. Moore, 52, died this week, another victim of a virus that is raging African Americans and exposing racial disparities and discrimination rampant in the nation's healthcare system. Now, I'm going to show you the finesse of the media with this. Are y'all hearing me today? Her video first shared in physicians' Facebook groups and more broadly after Moore's death has become a rallying cry to confront bias in the medical system. Indiana University Health System, which operates the hospital, declined to comment on the details of Moore's treatment, but said it would implement new, quote, anti-racism, anti-bias, and civility training for all team members. Doctors who followed the case cannot directly link Moore's death to the problems she recounted in her early treatment. But Moore's story of her pain being dismissed reinforces what studies have repeatedly shown. What have studies repeatedly shown? Even taking wealth, education, and insurance status into account, Black patients receive worse medical care and face worse outcomes. African Americans are routinely means what, family? Regularly. In other words, this means this is the practice, this is the norm, this is the rule, rather than the exception. And this is the world admitting that Black folk experience medical discrimination. It says African Americans are routinely undertreated for pain compared with white people who have similar conditions. Physicians are more prone to racial bias as they become burned out, a particularly salient finding as the pandemic leaves hospitals overburdened and overworked. It goes on to talk about how even Beyonce and Serena Williams shared their stories of near fatal pregnancy complications, showing how their international stardom didn't shield them from high rates of maternal complications facing African Americans. Now, let me make this point very quickly. Let me go back up here. I want you to see the finesse of white media. Now, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about that particular immunization. That's what we're going to call it right now. That little immunization, right? That little vaccine. I want you to listen. While you're listening, family, please give us the thumbs up, thumbs up. Be sure to like, be sure to share. For those of you that don't know, my name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm here doing an early morning, the Vicki Show edition. I want to share some very important stories with you. I know that some of you all celebrate the holidays. I told my audience last evening that I wanted to come on early today, and I'm coming on early out of respect for the other queens that come on typically live at later times today. But normally I'm on here, flynubianqueentv.com live weekdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you set your clocks so that you don't miss my show. And if you're busy during that time, go back and watch it later, okay? Now listen, again, this is Dr. Susan Moore out of Indiana that we're discussing. Now I want you to see how they did this. They first started by saying that her white doctor didn't believe she was short of breath. It quoted some of what she said, but that article should not have been written in this manner where they're simply saying he did not believe that she was in pain. See, that kind of language lets the offender, which is this white doctor, off the hook. What they should say is, based on her video and based on her account, if true, this points to medical malpractice. They should have used language that pointed to the fact that his mistreatment of her, his medical malfeasance, can be or should be linked to her death. White media always makes a way of escape and gives an outlet for the white supremacist offender. And they do it for their own selves. They know that looking out for the good of one white supremacist would benefit the rest of them. But I want you to pay particular attention to what the sister said. And this is not to disparage her family. May our dear sister rest in power. But I gotta highlight something that she said. Excuse me. Thank you so much for your gift, Descendant Lair. Your natural beauty is simply priceless. Oh, thank you. I pray that the Most High handle them with quickness. I know that's right. Thank you for your kind and true words. And I bless your gift, beloved, 1,000-fold. Thank you, family, for thumbs up, like, and share. Thumbs up, like, and share. I'm so happy to be on early this morning for a very special and brief Vicky show this morning. Now listen, the beautiful doctor with which we grieve this morning, listen to what she said though, family. And this, I think, is a lesson for all of Black society that considers themselves to be a part of the upper echelon in white society. Listen to what this Black doctor said on her deathbed. She said, I was crushed. Dwayne Robinson, I bless your gift 1,000-fold, beloved. Thank you so much for supporting Black media. The doctor said, the Black doctor, she said, I was crushed. He made me feel like a drug addict. Shout out B1. Let me tell you something, family. What you guys got to understand about racism, some of our people, unfortunately, think that them not being a drug addict has something to do with the reason why they're experiencing racism. Some of you think that your status is supposed to shield you from racism. Some of our people in Black society think that they should be exempt from mistreatment because they're a Black engineer or a Black doctor or some kind of well-known Black broadcaster or some person of substance and influence and affluence. Black family, you better wake up. This should help some of you understand that because you level up in white society and because you get a degree, and in many cases, you got the degree from white people or from an institution that white people control, even if it's an HBCU, too many of them are controlled or funded by certain white outside entities. That's very sad that this sister said, he made me feel like a drug addict, as if even if it was a drug addict, the drug addict would have deserved such treatment. Even if she was a drug addict, family, she would not have deserved not to have been believed and treated as a human being and with respect. Are you hearing me? Again, for those of you that know, I was saying that I'm doing a medical routine to where I'm purging right now. So some of my cough is a productive cough. So thank you for your understanding. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, like and share. Thumbs up, family, like and share. I'm on live and direct early this morning for a special early morning edition of the Vicky Show right here on FlyNubianQueenTV.com. Now listen, she goes on. I'm still quoting from the Black doctor who, based on belief and information, was based on her own words, appears to have been mistreated and very likely unnecessarily died an early death because of said mistreatment. Again, this is our belief. Notice she says she was crushed. He made me feel like a drug addict. I'll address that, right? She says, and he knew I was a physician. She says it again, watch this, but in a different way. She says, I don't take narcotics. Even if she didn't take narcotics, you see how she's emphasizing the fact that she's not one of them? See, some of you all think that because you wear a black robe, a blue uniform, or a white coat, some of you Negroes think you're white. That's the sad truth. It has nothing to do with any status. The white supremacists don't even believe you deserve it. It's not because they don't think you're capable of achieving certain levels in societies. They simply don't want you to. They want to maintain control. They want to maintain the high places. They brought us to this country, and those of us who are Aboriginal people of North America, because Black folks are Aboriginal to the entire planet. But those of us that helped to build America and that was mistreated and used, we were raped, we were kidnapped to be the burden bearers of this country. That's it. They never envisioned or desired or wanted us to level up in this nation, to become nothing and to be nothing special. It wasn't about you realizing your dreams and getting liberty. So when you all poke out your chest and say, but look what I've achieved, because you was looking at white mama and white daddy, white zaddy, to pat you on the back to say, look, I can do it too. They knew you could do it too. They just never wanted you to do it too. That's the reason why they made it unlawful for you to read and write to prevent you from ever doing it too. And some of you actually, no matter how black you are, no matter how deeply melanin you are, no matter your direct tracings to the killing fields of this country, some of you all still think that you're white. Now listen to, she goes on. Let me get this part right here. She says, I put forward and I maintain if I was white, I wouldn't have to go through that, which we know it's true. It says that she died this week. Now watch how the media tries to flip this. The next sentence says, she died this week, another victim of the virus that is ravaging African Americans and exposing racial disparities and discrimination rampant in the nation's healthcare system. Now they put that in there like that, saying another victim of a virus that is ravaging African Americans. They put that in there as another way to goad you into taking that shot. And you know what I'm talking about. They used her death, and they specifically used that language, and they managed to weave those two issues to make you more fearful, to actually drive you to hurry up and to take that shot. Somebody talk black to me. Thank you, Kim, and others for your gift. I bless your gift 1,000-fold. Did you all see how they did that? Now, I wanted to bring up this story to show you about the medical mistreatment, disparities, and how the medical industry has always been complicit and engaged in anti-black methods. It's not just law enforcement. Law enforcement, which I'm going to talk about very briefly, is the most obvious, but the other forms of black undermining and black death and black disenfranchisements happens undercover. It happens covertly. For example, in Congress, people didn't know truly how diabolical Joe Biden and Bill Clinton were until after Clinton left office and until after the 1994 crime bill was signed and it began to be executed and played out. But they secretly did that damage throughout the halls of Congress, crafting anti-black discriminatory laws. And then all of a sudden, one day we look up, then we see the impact of those laws. Stuff that often happens behind the scene in a lab, in a clinic, or in a hospital is not seen, and it's not as obvious as the stuff that you see with the more brute, violent, and inexplicable forms of black murder. But we're in a time now where we must be wise, and we're really seeing the very long tentacles of white supremacy. Now, I won't get into the specifics of the virus or the vaccine, but you all know what I'm talking about. You see that they've been doing a lot with some of these platforms to try to change the rules and to ding folk for freedom of speech regarding this vaccine, if it has anything to do with offering any other alternative, or if it's not bigging up the main method of allegedly putting down this virus, then they want to censor it. That should tell you all you need to know. This situation is not just, as they say, excuse me, about Black folks' suspicion. The narrative should be white folks mess making and medical and scientific devilment, which is a proven history in this country. And it's admitted and acknowledged even in this most recent case of Dr. Susan Moore, who recorded herself and named the white doctor who she excuse me, who she made clear was responsible for her maltreatment. Now I'm going to switch now very quickly to another story that by now some of you may have already heard about. How many of you all heard about Andre Maurice Hill? Andre Maurice Hill. Thank you for giving us a thumbs up, liking, and sharing for our brief early morning edition of the Vicky Show. Again, for those of you that are tuning in, my name is Vicky Diller. Normally, I'm live here on Fly Nubian Queen, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. But I'm coming to you early today. I told my audience last evening that I would. I know some of you are celebrating the holidays. So I came on early. And plus, I need to rest up my body and voice because for those, some of you may already know, I already have a medical disability. And so on top of the medical disability, I'm dealing with another illness that we are getting under control. So some of the coughing is actual intentional purging that one of my doctors have me doing right now based on injections, biologics that were put into my body, medicines over the past several years that were suppressed. So we're trying to pull up some of those in a different means. Are you hearing me today? So thank you so much for your patience. Let's get on into this next story as I weave these two thoughts. This is from NPR. You've seen this all over the place by now. Again, our brother's name is Andre Maurice Hill. How many of you all have heard about him? How many of you all have heard about him? This article is titled, Ohio Officer's Body Cam Shows He Shot Unarmed Black Man Within 10 Seconds of Encounter. Body camera footage, shows a Columbus police officer fatally shooting 47-year-old Andre Maurice Hill less than 10 seconds after finding him in a garage early Tuesday. The officer who shot him is Adam Coy. Look at this picture. That's the garage. It's a very obscure picture that apparently came from that body cam, but I'm trying to get it as close to the camera as possible for you to see. You see the vehicle right there, and there's what appears to be, the flashlight from the officer in the officer's hands. Do y'all see that? Adam Coy, y'all, he's a 19-year veteran of the department who has since been placed on paid administrative leave. Coy is white, the officer, the white race soldier, and Hill is black. Police say no weapon was found at the scene. Thursday, Columbus Police Chief Tom Quinlan recommended that Coy be dismissed from the force. Police officials say officers were dispatched to the city's Cranbrook neighborhood around 1:30 a.m. Tuesday, responding to a non-emergency call about a man sitting inside a car, repeatedly turning it on and off. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Footage from Coy's body camera shows officers walking up to an open garage, shining their flashlights on Hill, who turned around and held up his cell phone. Hill took several steps toward Coy, who raised his gun and shot him. But y'all, there's nothing more demonic than this man shooting him. But here's what adds to this satanic act. Because Coy did not activate his camera until after the shooting, there is no audio for the first minute of the footage. Did y'all hear that? Columbus police body cameras feature a look-back function that records video but no audio of the 60 seconds before activation. Put your effing hands out to the side. Hands out to the side, Coy shouts in the video, breathing heavily. Roll to your stomach now. This is after this piece of trash murdered our brother. Coy asks another officer if medics are coming, walks up to Hill, and rolls him over on his back. The official Columbus police report of the shooting, also released Wednesday, is brief and absent of most details. Officer discharged his firearm upon confronting Mr. Hill. Mr. Hill did not survive his injuries. That's some of the language, the simple language that was used in the report, y'all. Press conference Wednesday, Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther called for the immediate termination of Coy, saying he was outraged by the shooting. I'm very disturbed about what I don't see next in the body-worn camera footage. From what we can see, none of the officers initially at the scene provide medical assistance to Mr. Hill. No compression on the wounds to stop the bleeding, no attempts at CPR, not even a hand on the shoulder, and an encouraging word that medics were en route. Dear family, you got to be out of your Sambo bone and biscuit mind. Your brain is all the way messed up if you think that any race soldier who intentionally tried to kill you was looking for an opportunity to murder you and didn't turn on his camera while he killed you to make sure it wasn't recorded. It is so asinine to think that these immoral things, these pigs, would mean you any good by actually attempting to save your life. If someone is intentionally trying to kill you, just like in the Rayshard Brooks' case, just like when we deal with even the George Floyd case and others. When you have a race soldier like in the George Floyd case, who knows he's being recorded, literally squeezing out the life force of this black man on camera for almost 10 minutes. Is it truly surprising that in many of these cases, they continue to prove and show that the officers don't provide any CPR or any substantive medical care after they've shot him? How many times have you heard where officer didn't give any care, or the officer waited so many minutes after the fact to give them care, or the officers put up tape, they did everything else but give medical attention to the person that many of us would say, tried to intentionally murder? Let's stop being stupid here. And another thing, family, we are at war, and the race soldiers that are in law enforcement are the foot soldiers for white supremacy. They become oftentimes military soldiers and police officers pretending to be patriotic, using so that under color of law, in other words, so that they can have the protection of the badge and the law, they intentionally, some of them, take on those jobs so that they can kill you with impunity. That means so that they can kill you without consequence, without punishment. Some of you don't believe that fat meat is greasy. And because some of you are taking too long to come to this very right conclusion, more and more and more and more and more of us are being murdered, killed, and undermined. Are you listening? Thumbs up, like, and share, family. Welcome to a very early, brief morning edition of the Vicky Show. I told my audience last evening I was going to come on early. I know many of you are celebrating the holidays. Please be safe. Don't be stupid, family, and unnecessarily put yourself at risk. Use wisdom. We understand that there's a lot of truth and a lot of lies involved with this pandemic. There is some truth to this pandemic, but there's also a lot of lies and a lot of mess making. And because black folk, whether it's truth about this pandemic or whether it's a lie, black folk are affected by the truth and the lie of the pandemic. That's the reason why we need to take care of ourselves. That's the reason why we need to make sure that we're socially distancing and doing whatever else that we can and taking measures that we believe in our daily lives, health measures and other such things to build our immunity and other things to take care of ourselves. You know, I'm one of the main ones that will expose a lie concerning this pandemic. I've done it months ago at the early stages of it. But just because we know there's mess making related to this pandemic doesn't mean we let our guards down. That's all the more reason we need to put our guards up, because your enemy weaponizes every circumstance and situation. That's right, Otis. You're absolutely right, beloved. Are you hearing me? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Watch this. Black media, folks like me, have told you this for a long time now. What have we told you? In addition to the FBI warning that the white supremacists in law enforcement warned of white supremacists in law enforcement 10 years ago. That's an article from 2016. Now I'm reading you from The Guardian from just a few months ago here in 2020. What does this headline say? Excuse me. Thank you so much for your patience. What does that headline say from The Guardian? It says white supremacists and militias have infiltrated police across the U.S., a report says. Y'all play too much. I've been telling you that for the longest. I know other black media folks have been trying to tell you the same thing for the longest. This is not unknown. It's just rarely spoken about in main white stream media. Of course, The Guardian is a prominent, well-known European newspaper. But what does it say? A former FBI agent, this is just written August 27th of 2020. A former FBI agent has documented links between serving officers and racist militant activities in more than a dozen states. When are y'all gonna wake up to realize that it is true that white supremacists and militias have infiltrated police across the U.S.? My point is that these black murders are not random and they are not accidental. It goes on. White supremacist groups have infiltrated U.S. law enforcement agencies in every region of the country over the last 2 decades. Of course, we know it's been longer than that. When you got white folks admitting this happened, at least 20, it's been happening for 20 years, that speaks to something. According to a new report about the ties between police and far-right vigilante groups. In a timely new analysis, Michael German, a former FBI special agent who has written extensively on the ways the U.S. law enforcement have failed to respond to far-right domestic terror threats, concludes that the U.S. law enforcement officials have been tied to racist militia activities in more than a dozen states since 2000. And hundreds of police officers have been caught posting racist, bigoted social media content. Are y'all hearing me? These are reports that other folk are acknowledging our problem. I want you, let me see. I don't know if I can do this right now. Let me see. I want to put this, I want to put this link in the chat because I want you to read this. Yes, okay, check the chat out, family. I just put a link. I'm posting it several times for this Guardian newspaper. I want you to read that piece that was written just a few months ago. Because some of you all don't like to listen to black media when we tell you stuff and we give you all the heads up. You got to wait till white zaddy, white mama, or some white organizations give you the confirmation of something before you want to take action. Isn't that so wicked in the minds of black folk? Some of you will wait until the oppressor will say about themselves that they are the oppressor. You will say, even so-and-so said. But when we're giving you the heads up in advance so that you can prevent loss of life, see, some of our people wait till lots of loss of life takes place before they do anything. Let me get back to this. I'm almost finished. The report notes that over the years, police links to militias and white supremacist groups have been uncovered. Listen, in states including Alabama, California, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Louisiana, Michigan, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas, Virginia, Washington, and West Virginia. Police in Sacramento, California in 2018 worked with neo-Nazis to pursue charges against anti-racist activists, including some who had been stabbed. And just this summer, German writes, an Orange County Sheriff's deputy and a Chicago policeman were caught wearing far-right militia logos. An Olympia, Washington officer was photographed posing with the militia group, and Philadelphia police officers were filmed standing by while armed mobs attacked protesters and journalists. It says that the exact scale of ties between law enforcement and militias is hard to determine. German told The Guardian, nobody is collecting the data and nobody is actively looking for these law enforcement officers. Family, black media have been telling you for the longest time that these deaths, black murders, are on purpose. We've been telling you for the longest time that a lot of these folks had logos, tattoos, and associations. You've been hearing black media member tell you guys that this is truly like an initiation process for some of them. If you got any sense, you would know that this has been the way America always has done it. Now, while this little white media publication is admitting that this is a problem and has been for a couple of decades, family, the whole reason police came into existence is because of slavery and because of slave owners hiring white folks to keep tabs on you, to catch you, and to bring you back to the plantation. Even this notion of what we call the paddy wagon comes from that. So intelligent black people know it's always been a link. And as Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice, told us long ago, when he was behind enemy lines in the highest court in the land, it was your black Supreme Court justice, after becoming the Supreme Court justice, who told you what was what. He told you that the KKK don't wear white sheets anymore. He told you that the white sheets wears black robes and blue uniforms. Again, I don't like to start the morning with quote unquote bad news, but for black folks, I always remind you that we're in our finest hour and that the difficulty that we're going through are labor pains because we're getting ready to birth a new world where we're going to be the head and not the tail. And we're going to rule in fairness, in justice, in truth, and in power. Dear family, always utilize these circumstances to double down on our collective unity. Always say, I'm getting ready to get out of this wicked system by calling the police less, by not putting my family at stake, by calling these race soldiers to murder them, by collaborating with such organizations like the Nation of Islam and others who do relationship resolutions instead of calling the police, who work within the community to keep crime down and to settle disputes amongst themselves. They're not the only organizations that do that kind of stuff. That's up to us to begin to research and to implement these things and to work together. I'm just giving you some ideas and giving you the news and reminding you of the reality that we're in, family. We've got to say, no, you're not going to trip because of this pandemic. Now that some of you have to teach your own children, you better keep it that way. Because these white supremacists are up in the ante and they are not being covert. They're not hiding how they're doing what they do. They're doing it openly. Shout out to you for your gift. I bless your gift 1,000-fold. This is the opportunity to say, you know what? If I don't have a side business or an additional stream of income, this is the time for me to go now to flynubianbusiness.com so that I can start my own Black business. Even if you don't do that business full time and you keep your other job, you do not want to be 100% reliant upon your oppressor family. That is asinine. That is stupid. That shows you are a slave and that you're out of your mind. Look at what's happening with these checks. They're not even sending the checks in a timely manner. Some folks are losing their home, can't pay rent. Having these additional forms of income is meant to be a solution so that your enemy is not able to overtake you. But not only that, you should want to be independent as much as possible, or not 100% solely reliant upon your open enemy, because you've got a Black nation to build. There needs to be funds to fund that new reality, and you need to be happy to fund it. You need to be smiling and happy every time you write that check, or you help, or you assist, or you invest into another Black school or another Black organization that is pro-Black and doing things for Black people. It should be your privilege, not you saying, oh, that person, all they do is talk about money and the world goes round with money. I did a show yesterday. Make sure you check it out. I did a show last night talking about how we are officially, of course, we've always been there, but we're officially back in Jim Crow. And the reason I say officially, because this church out of Minnesota just officially gave a legal permit to a whites-only church. Notice how that white supremacist church group had the money to pay for that church and then go to local government to get a permit. When you're at war, you don't ask crazy questions and get upset because you actually have to invest in the war. If you're not on the front lines fighting the war, shouldn't you be the one responsible for making sure that the war chest is fat? Again, go to flynubianbusiness.com. If you don't know what to do, there are Black folks that are there to help guide you, to help you with your business. And some of us won't even make the investment or make the commitment to be disciplined enough to see it as a reality. Somebody talk Black to me. Think about the phrase justifiable homicide. Think about the phrase justifiable homicide. That's a term that this white supremacist country came up with for the Black man and the Black woman. That means that when they do call themselves doing an investigation, which of course they never thoroughly do, they always obstruct and meddle with anything that can lead to the truth. That's the reason why that fool didn't turn on his camera until after he murdered him. And isn't it stupid of us to expect an immoral race soldier to be willing to turn on the camera when they should? I've been hearing of reports that they were breaking antennas off of stuff, that they always act like that the camera was defective. They act like that something was wrong and going with it. That should have been thought about before just putting cameras into the hands of a white race soldier. And how many times when they had the cameras on where we saw the murder or we saw someone else capture it with their cell phones was nothing done even though it was captured? Or they still lied about the events even though we were looking at it with our own eyes. They always find a way. That's the reason why some of us are saying it makes no sense for us to continue to engage this system in the same way that we always have when they're doing nothing but gaming the system. The system is set up intentionally to benefit white people. So charges are not brought in most cases, which is why they make their white supremacists or their black-faced white supremacists like Daniel Cameron the prosecutor. If that's not the case, If they do get an indictment, what do? They make sure that you have a white supremacist judge. So even when you go through a fake trial, you never get a sentence. You never get time behind bars. Or if you do get time behind bars, you're only one or two officers in the whole history of the country to ever go to jail. And when you go to jail, you only go for a short period of time. And then when you go for a short period of time, they put you in the cushiest prison ever. Then they use the white supremacist media to shape and bias the case so that you can have white supremacist jurors that have already been fed misinformation about your black self anyway before they come to court. And so when they're back there deliberating in that jury room, they always come out backing the police. It doesn't matter how far the case goes or appear to go, they make sure that they have all of their white supremacists strategically in place to work for them and against you. In the Breonna Taylor case, I'm going to say this and I'm almost done. This is only a brief war briefing. Thank you all for joining me this morning at the last minute. Of course, I did not post about it early. Literally, when I came on, I started to let my Twitter people know, and my Instagram family did a brief posting, but I did not give advance notice. But I thank those of you that have come. Even though yesterday I mentioned I wanted to come early, I didn't give any time, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't let anybody know any specifics until the last minute. So thank you for joining us. Be sure to like and share this broadcast with others. Enjoy if you celebrate the holidays. Be safe, family. Be intelligent. Don't be stupid. Be mature. But I want to remind you of this. Let me pull this one up really quick. I want to remind you of this in the Breonna Taylor's case. Before I remind you of this, make sure that you get my very special Angels Unleashed 2021 calendar. Go to thevickycalendar.com. That's thevickycalendar.com. Family, these are pre-orders, which means they'll ship out in January. You don't want to miss it. I put together for every single month one specific, unique angelic scripture along with the very special angelic thought for every month. I can promise you your life won't be the same after 2021. We sold out of the initial amounts, the limited amounts that we were going to make available in the first place. Thankfully, the team made a few more available. So get yours today. Order yours now so they'll ship out in January. TheVickyCalendar.com. TheVickyCalendar.com. They're going to be beautiful. You're going to feel a mighty presence, I believe. More than that, you're going to give an insight. And you know, whatever you give attention to, you increase the reality in your life. So when you give attention to this supernatural world, beloved, these energies stand ready to assist you. I do a weekly mastermind on Wednesday nights at clubvicky.com too, by the way, and you can join there, where I drop a spiritual principle every week. This may not be for everybody, but if it is for you, go to clubvicky.com. But I'm very unapologetic about this because I understand, and science proves this through quantum mechanics and quantum physics and other sciences, obviously, that everything that you see came out of everything you can't see. So we just deal straight with spirit during my clubvicky.com weekly mastermind courses. Again, I'm doing an early show, but normally I'm live on Fly Nubian Queen weekdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that if you miss my show every night at 6:30, that you be sure to check it out later. It's always going to be posted here on FlyNubianQueenTV.com. Of course, I won't be going on today because that's why I'm doing an early morning edition today. And thank you so much for tuning in. What I wanted to remind you about in the Breonna Taylor case, and these are all recent things. I bless you all for your gifts. I thank you so much, and I bless them 1,000-fold. Thank you so much. You know who you are. I give thanks. And don't forget too, family, follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. Follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. Follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. Remember the Breonna Taylor case just a few months ago? Look at this headline. Do you remember this? Do you all remember this? Look at this headline. Excuse me. This headline says officers who raided Breonna Taylor's home previously wore body cameras, attorney claims. A lawyer for Breonna Taylor's family claims the undercover officers who raided her home in March, shooting and killing her, had been assigned body cameras and wore them in other investigations. In fact, attorney Sam Aguar said other officers from the criminal interdiction unit were wearing body cameras when serving a warrant on the main suspects of the drug investigation that night, including Jamarcus Glover at a home on Elliott Avenue in Russell neighborhood. After Taylor was shot, the Louisiana police officers at Glover's home were ordered to turn off their body cameras. Did y'all hear that? After Taylor was shot, the Louisville police, officers at the Glover's home were ordered to turn off their body cameras, according to court records. It says it seems awfully coincidental that the location where there was a fatal police shooting didn't have body cams. So y'all remember that in the Breonna Taylor case? In other investigations, other instances, they got them on. But magically, during the fatal shooting, they didn't have no body cams. Y'all better pay attention. You better connect those dots to what I just said from the Guardian newspaper. I put the link in the chat to where they have shown direct links with law enforcement being filled with white supremacists. Get your Vicky calendar today at thevickicalendar.com. I wanted to share this news with you. Again, not to start off your morning with just a bunch of tragedy, but to let you know, dear family, that this difficulty that we're in shows that we're in our finest hour. It's time for us, family. We're laboring for a new reality, a new world where white supremacy will not exist there. And the scripture says in the book of Revelation that the devil is styled as the devil knows, Satan knows his time is short, so he comes to the earth to make havoc. We know that they're concerned that their time is short because even Joe Biden's Jim Crow racist tale told black folk at a recent meeting that he had that was leaked. What did he say? Joe Biden says that they're doomed and that we're getting ready to be what? Minority European, which means minority whites. And remember, Joe Biden gonna wag his finger in our face and tell us that we're gonna have to get ready to start working with Hispanic people. First of all, Joe, seeing that you are acknowledging that y'all's time is short on our planet, you ain't running nothing. You're not finna tell black folks who are everlasting, who will rule in the new world that we're building. You don't get to tell us who we gonna have to work with. You getting ready to get out of here with your funny looking self. Y'all better pay attention. I love you to pieces. Keep in mind it's time for us to unify. It's time for us to do for self. It's time for us to maintain social distancing in a way that we should have been doing before this pandemic. My name is Vicky Dillard. I can't wait to see you on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. Follow me on Twitter at Dillard Vicky. And be sure to subscribe to my personal website on YouTube at vickydillard.tv. That's vickydillard.tv. I thank you all so much. Be safe this holiday season. I can't wait to see you, inshallah, next week, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to catch up on all of my shows where I come on at 6:30 Eastern Time, right here live on FlyNubianQueenTV.com. I know many of you say, well, Vicky, I see you all over the place. I'm so grateful that we have affiliates where my show is replayed on other networks, where we're reaching a lot more people. But the reason why I always emphasize to watch me on Fly Nubian Queen TV is because that's a predictable time where you know where I'll be live every day. Thank you so very much. I cannot wait to see you again. I love you. I bow to you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing this early morning edition of The Vicky Show.